This is a real special day for us this morning. May McCarthy has been here before, several years ago, and I wanted to tell you, there is no one I've ever met in my life who is more positive than she is. So you will be changed today. So we're happy to welcome her back, and she's been here before to emphasize the importance of connecting with your spirit as your source, and she knows a little bit about this. One of the things I carried with me for months, and it's going to be rejuvenated now, is she allows Spirit not to be her CEO, her CSO, her Chief Spiritual Officer, to guide and direct her over 36 years. And she has been a founding part of 7 startup companies, of which the most successful one has been over $100 million in sales revenue. She's an incredible student of who we call Dear Emma Curtis Hopkins, and Ernest Holmes, the Fillmores, and her sister, who she greatly respects, Reverend Sharon Ramey. She's written 2 books, The Path to Wealth, which we had a wonderful workshop the last time she was here. But now her new book is called The Gratitude Formula. It's a 7-step system to create a life that you love. And that's a dynamite picture, by the way. It's really wonderful, in our bookstore. And so she travels the world as a professional speaker, angel investor, that's really good, philanthropist and consultant, living her purpose to elevate prosperity and freedom for all. Now, in her workshop this afternoon, if you're one of those that's feeling a little pinched this holiday season, come and see me. We have a board member who's offered several tickets for her workshop. If you would like that, just come and see me afterwards. But May, we're so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Oh. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and what beautiful decorations. Whoever's responsible for that, great job. I wish I could bring you home with me to Texas and do my house. Before we get started today, can I see with a show of hands, how many of you believe in miracles? Okay. You know, a miracle is defined as an extraordinary event that happens with divine intervention into human affairs. I witnessed a lot of miracles when I was growing up. I'm the last of 10 children, and I was raised in Hawaii. And I saw my brothers and sisters get into the most horrific car accidents. I mean, looking at the wreckage, to me, they shouldn't have even survived. And they walked away without a scratch. That's a miracle. It's a miracle. And I used to body surf as a teenager. And I, as a lot of teenagers, we think we're immortal. And I would go off on giant waves. And one day I had an accident. And I fractured my back. And the doctor said it was a miracle. It was a miracle that I wasn't paralyzed for life. And even some of our neighbors, our friends' homes, in Hawaii, we got lots of giant storms. And I know that here in your area and in the greater Northern California area, there have been some really, really awful tragedies that have happened as a result of fires and even Mother Nature doing her thing. And some of our friends' homes were left standing while there was complete devastation around them. It was a miracle that they even survived. And even our family priest, yes, we had a family priest, even our family priest, who had been diagnosed with terminal cancer and given 6 months to live, went back to the doctor a month later and was completely cured. It was a miracle. A miracle is defined as an extraordinary event that manifests with divine intervention into human affairs. How many of you know people, or maybe you yourself, have had an experience of a miracle in your life? Yeah. Well, it's my belief that if we do believe our philosophy, if we believe our philosophy that we're all part of one and we are part of divine, then we can enable divine intervention into human affairs, right? We can actually enable miracles to happen. Miracles can happen so often for you that they just become typicals. Would you like that? I would too. I love turning miracles into typicals, and you all can do this too. All I'm here today is to help you to remember what you already know. Now, I shared a story with you the last time I was here, that in 1994, I happened to be in an office, and I was in a business meeting, and I got this very strong thought of my sister, kind of like almost her face in my mind's eye. Has anybody ever had that happen, where just the strong thought comes in? Maybe that's divine intervention. So I knew, having practiced what I'm going to share with you today, having practiced being in connection with Spirit, following Spirit's guidance, that meant I needed to contact my sister. And I happened to be close to her office, so I just stopped by. She was so happy to see me. You see, she had a computer problem that I could fix for free. And as I'm sitting there at her desk, she noticed this little teeny tiny dot on the outside of my right leg and asked me what it was. Well, I told you I'm from Hawaii, and I'm fair. So I have lots of freckles, lots and lots of freckles. And that's exactly what I told her it was. It's a freckle. I've had it forever. It's never grown. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. And she said that she didn't feel that it was a freckle. And as I was about, all this stuff is going through my head, she says, I'd really like you to see my dermatologist and just have it looked at. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got 50 million things to do. That's never grown. It can't possibly be anything. I would be alerted by Spirit if this was anything I should be concerned about. And as I was just about to dismiss her fear and say, don't worry about it, I got a busy day ahead of me, I need to go, my gut hurt. Anybody ever have that? Divine intervention into human affairs. My gut hurt. Could divine intervention be as simple as your gut trying to tell you something? Well, having practiced this a while, I knew that, yes, that in fact could be Spirit giving me a clue to just do as my sister said. So I did. I went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist said, May, come on. That is so teeny tiny. It can't possibly be anything. It can't possibly be anything. Honey, don't worry about it. Just get dressed, go home, sleep well. And as I was just about to heed that advice, my gut hurt again. Divine intervention into human affairs. So I said, Doctor, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. But you need to cut that off and have it looked at, have it diagnosed. I came back a week later to a diagnosis of cancer, malignant melanoma, Clark's level 3. Divine intervention into human affairs. Because I was diagnosed so early, what ended up happening is I only had to have really simple surgery. I didn't have to have chemotherapy. I didn't have to have any additional treatment. And since 1994, I've been completely cancer-free. Divine intervention into human affairs. We can direct Spirit's energy and power by doing some things that we learn here at Center for Spiritual Living all the time. And what I want to do today is share with you that as I've been traveling around the world after writing my first book, The Path to Wealth, I've gotten an opportunity to see how people have been working to enable Spirit to guide them towards the things that they desire, what Emma Curtis Hopkins calls your good. And your good can be perfect health. Your good can be harmonious relationships. Your good can be an overflowing financial freedom. It could be great recreation with the support and resources that you need to enjoy it. It could be a deeper spiritual connection or right work where you're using your skills and talents in remarkable and fulfilling and satisfying ways. Your good can manifest if we do a few things to enable Spirit to show up, to enable that divine intervention into human affairs. Sound like a good idea? Yeah? We're all on board with this? Yeah? Want more miracles in your life? Okay. So, being the self-proclaimed efficiency expert that I am, what I want to do is share with you 3 points this morning. And I've given you a handout in your bulletin. If you all would open that up, looks something like this, so that you can have some notes. If you don't have one, just raise your hand and one will be brought to you. Everybody got one? Okay, the first point is that repetition reaps rewards. Say that with me. Repetition reaps rewards. You know, one of my very, very favorite teachers is a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote a little book called The Game of Life and How to Play It, and it was published in 1925. Anybody read it? Yeah? Okay. I call Florence Scovel Shinn Emma for Dummies. Because if you've ever tried to read Emma Curtis Hopkins on your own without a little bit of advanced spiritual guidance and a teacher, it's really difficult. But Florence Shinn is super easy to read. And she said that we can't always control our thoughts. We can't. But we can control our words. And through repetition of our words, we impress our subconscious mind. And then can become masters of anything. You've all proved this. How many of you have ever driven home from work and you don't remember large parts of your drive home? Yeah? Yeah? I've had that happen all the time. But were you an expert the very first time you got behind the wheel? No. You had to put in lots of concerted effort, mental and physical effort to figure out how to drive. And if you learned like I did on a standard stick shift, you had to put in a lot of mental and physical effort to figure out how to not pop the clutch and stall your car. Repetition helped you with that. And now you can drive masterfully. How many of you remember reading, learning to read? You sounded out each letter and you put it into a word and then a sentence and then a story. That was a lot of mental and physical effort trying to figure that out. And now can't you just skim entire pages and get the same understanding? Yeah. You use repetition to master the situation. And how about learning to ride a bike? Does anybody remember that? Yeah, I crashed a lot. I crashed a lot when I was learning to ride a bike because I didn't have training wheels. I went straight to riding a bike. And I had a lot of road rash. And I'm sure you did too. But now, can't you go years without riding a bike and you can still get on and balance like you used to? Repetition. You learn to master through repetition. And don't even get me started on learning how to type on that crazy keyboard that's not even in alphabetical order. Jeez. But now don't you have kids or grandkids that can type faster than you can talk? Yeah, they use repetition to master the situation. All of us have learned how to do this. And you can do the same with enabling spirit to show up and your subconscious to show up and illuminate possibilities to achieve what Emma Curtis Hopkins calls your good. Okay? All of us have the ability to do this. You've proved this before. Aren't you able to do all of these things easier now than you used to when you first learned to do them? Yeah. Well, the same is true. We come to our center every week. We take classes. We learn all of these great tools. Maybe we even prove them for a little while. And then what happens? We go right back to what we used to do. And we wonder why miracles aren't happening more for us. The key here is to use repetition every single day, so that you can master enabling miracles to show up more often. You know, we do the same thing in business. There are lots of systems for success, and enabling miracles to show up more often in your life is just another system for success. It's not a secret. It's a system. And one of the things that we do in business is we have projections. You know, we will create a story. Managers will portray that story to their employees, and we will revisit that story, that projection, those goals periodically and measure our success against them. So when you're talking to or listening to the news and you're hearing about sales projections or revenue projections or product development projections from a company, what we're doing is living out here in the future and painting this story of what our performance is going to be. And as we achieve more of those projections, we've got proof now. And isn't that what Ernest Holmes tells us to do, is accumulate proof? Accumulate proof that we can live in whatever way that we desire. And in any professional athletes or musicians out here? Do you know any professional athletes or musicians? Okay, so what do? Every single day you mentally and physically practice to perform at your highest levels. Most great athletes, and I happen to like golf, so I love people like Jack Nicklaus and those kinds of people, and they say that they spend just as much time mentally seeing themselves in the goal, in the completed match with their winning, as they do physically practicing. It's a system for success. And in spiritual practice, what do? In lots of religious and spiritual organizations, we can pray without ceasing. We meditate, we chant, we do something on a regular basis in a repetitive way in order to accomplish whatever our goal is. Maybe praying for neighbors, praying for yourself, praying for your family. And then we get so excited, we've accumulated proof because we see that it's having an effect, right? Well, what if we proactively do that? What if we proactively do that on a regular basis, every single day? We write down what our good is, as though it's completed with gratitude. We read it out loud to anchor the meaning more fully within us. And we imagine, like professional musicians and athletes do, we imagine being in the completed goal, already realizing the good that we desire. If we did that every single day for 20, 25 minutes, we can enable miracles to happen. And that's what I write about in my books, is that daily practice that will help you to turn miracles into typicals. So, how many of you know that your words are powerful? Okay. How many of you have ever heard people say things like, I don't want this to happen, and it happens? Right? Or, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to get out of debt. Anybody hear that? Well, think about that goal for a minute. If the goal is to be wanting to get out of debt, or the goal is to be wanting to lose 10 pounds, haven't they already achieved it? Aren't they already wanting? So what would be a better way to describe that is as though it's already complete with gratitude. I'm so grateful that I'm financially free with a minimum or more of X number of dollars to easily afford all of my living, giving, and entertainment expenses, and more. I'm so grateful that I'm physically fit, trim, toned, energetic, in a healthy body that easily moves through life in a pain-free way. See the difference? So words are extremely important. And in the workshop this afternoon, we're really going to dive into those words in a deep and very fun and interactive way to create some really powerful goal statements. The second point is that you have some strong beliefs and behaviors that have been created over a lifetime. And your brain loves you. So at this stage of our life, when we have a goal that's bigger than anything that we've experienced before or different than anything we've experienced before, we can sometimes doubt that it's possible. Anybody ever experienced that? Well, here's what happens. Your brain loves you. And your brain remembers every time you had a goal in the past that you weren't able to achieve and how disappointed you were. And it doesn't want you to be disappointed anymore. It loves you. So when it doesn't believe that you believe that it's possible to achieve a goal, guess what it does? It puts spirit on mute. So those intuitive messages, like that strong thought, that gut instinct, have trouble getting through. You're not as able to notice. They're still being sent. Spirit's still sending messages, but your brain, in an effort to protect you, is trying to keep you safe. The other thing is your subconscious and your brain working together in order to keep you safe can sometimes try and make you feel like a fraud. I call it the fraud factor. So that you'll give up on that goal so that you can be safe. You see, you may be in a situation that you don't particularly like, but you know how to cope. And this out here is unknown. And there's a risk of you being disappointed and not achieving it. So it wants to keep you safe. I have a friend of mine who is, she's the last of her line of siblings. And she was born well after her next sibling. And she was told her entire life, grandparents, parents, and even oldest sibling all got diagnosed with diabetes. And guess what? You're going to have diabetes too. You're predestined to it. There's nothing you can do. Just prepare for it. And she took a Path to Wealth workshop from me, and she said, May, I don't want to have diabetes. I want a healthy life. I said, well, use your daily practice. You know, what do we believe? We believe that all things are possible with God, right? We believe that any possibility can exist in divine mind. So start proclaiming that. Use repetition to reap rewards. Write down what your wonderful, healthy life is. And so she started doing that every day. I'm so grateful that I am whole and complete in a healthy body where every cell in my body is filled with the divine plan of God. Every cell operates in the perfection of spirit. Every day. But she's felt like a fraud. She's describing this completed goal when she's still got this belief and behavior that has been generated from her family. And she said, I think I'm going to give up on that goal. I'm not getting any intuitive direction from Spirit to take any action. And I said, look, don't give up. Here's what's happening. All you need to do is make what you want familiar and welcome, in addition to doing your repetitive daily practice. So I asked her to go out and find stories about other people that have achieved great health, even after having awful diagnosis, even after being told that they were going to have terrible diseases. Find those stories. We all know people, and we've read about people that have been miraculously healed, right? It's possible in divine mind. Go find those stories. Go meet some people that are transforming their lives into healthy lives after being given a diagnosis of something that was awful. So she did. She went out to meet people. She read stories online. She found books about people. She did everything that she could in order to make what she wanted familiar and welcome. At that point, her brain believed, she now thinks it's possible. Not the how. The how is God's job. The how is Spirit's job to get there. But she needed to just shift her beliefs into possibility. Once that happened, her brain took Spirit's messages off mute. And she got a tremendous number of intuitive directions to go to places, to meet people. She ended up at this one place where she met a whole new group of friends. And through that group of friends, she learned about preparing foods that were healthy, walking, hiking. She did all sorts of really fun stuff. And over several months, she had lost 40 pounds. She showed up at her doctor's appointment and told him what her goal was. And he said, if you keep up this healthy lifestyle, there's no way that you would ever have to be diagnosed with diabetes. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. We can do this too. The third point, the third and final point, is that you have to take action, right? We all know that Spirit works in and through us, as us, and by us, right? So we have to take steps. My friend who came from a family with diabetes had to actually get somewhere and start doing something. She had to take some action in order to achieve that good, right? So in addition to repetition of your daily practice and making what you want familiar and welcome, go find stories. Take action. Go find stories and people and experience things. If you want a new house, go to open houses. Feel what it's like to be in those open houses. If you want harmonious relationships, find other people that have experienced harmonious relationships. Make it familiar and welcome to you. One of my friends is in San Diego, and he decided that his goal was to be a successful realtor. So he took the classes, he went to work, and after about 8 months, he said, this is not the job for me. I've had very few clients, and they have run me ragged. I could make more money just serving coffee at a Starbucks and have more fun. And I said, well, are you doing your daily practice? Are you using repetition to describe your successful life as a successful realtor? And he said, well, no. So that was the first thing. He had to start doing that. And then I asked him to go meet some successful realtors. Go to networking events, read their stories, do whatever he could in order to shift his beliefs to possibility. Once he did that, brain took Spirit off mute. And he got an intuitive direction to contact surfing shops and companies that had executives that liked to surf. It was almost like this movie was created in his mind about an hour-long presentation that he could create with some of his buddies that were still on the surfing circuit. He used to surf competitively. And he put together this whole 1-hour presentation in his mind and saw that he could offer this to surf shops and companies that had surfers as executives. And it was a really entertaining presentation. So he went to work, he took action, and he created it and contacted all these places to see if he could offer it for free. Well, naturally, everybody loves the price tag free. And so they said he could come in, and he's a really friendly guy, and he's really nice, and he did a marvelous job. Well, through that, he met lots of people that like to surf. He met lots of executives, and, executives' pay in San Diego is pretty healthy. He got from that lots of referrals for new business. And I'm happy to say that he not only has met his first goal that he had, his financial goal for being a successful realtor, he's met 2 bigger goals since. And he's having a ball. He has all these new friends that he gets to surf with. To him, that was a miracle. It was a miracle because he couldn't see it before he started partnering with Spirit to do what was his to do and take action. A miracle is defined as an extraordinary event that manifests with divine intervention. You are the key to that divine intervention. You can enable more miracles to show up in your life so that they just become typicals. Now, I don't have time today in this talk to go over the 7 steps of the gratitude formula. I've just given you a little taste. But I hope that if you have chance from 12:30 to 3 today, if you want to come and join us, everybody gets a 27-page workbook. It's really interactive and a lot of fun, and we're going to have a good time. May you be blessed. May you be prospered. May you be happy. May you be healthy in harmonious relationships. And as Emma Curtis Hopkins says, there is a good for you and you ought to have it. And I would add that you should have it now. Thank you so much. Thank you.